champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
Shout out to all the fighters that won belts last night. Yo, what's up? What's up, fight fans? We got another one back at it with another edition here at Round 1 Sports TV. I am always your host, Edwin, and where the war fights start.
Round 1.
All right. Yo, let's talk about it. Man, some questions were answered last night. Some fighters tasted defeat for the very first time. Got nothing to hold your head down. Brian Norman Jr., you went out there and you fought your fight. It wasn't your night. And we have new champions. We have unified champions, world champions, Bam Bam Rodriguez. And where do you place him now on the pound for pound list? David the Monster Benavides' performance versus Anthony Yard. And most importantly, what fight shocked you the most last night? What fight shocked you the most? So we're going to get into all of that and more here at Round 1 Sports Talk. Don't forget to hit that like button when you come in. If you haven't so already, subscribe to the channel. Become a Round 1 Sports Talk member. Let's get right into this episode. Well. You see, mornings like this, the day after boxing, the morning after, right? Uh, there's a lot of people that want a lot of other people to eat crow and to say, I told you so. There are two sides of fans right now attacking each other all over social media, I can imagine, right? And the harsh reality of it all was two young men went in there and put it all on the line. Respectfully, two young men in their prime. Okay. Now, I've always said this about Devin Haney. About the rumors circulating in the boxing world that he was pillow fisted. Now, even last night in my live, I reminded the public, and I will do so again, how that all started. Remember, that was a statement put out by boxers that never fought him in the ring, maybe sparred against him, but never in a professional night. That rumor came out from the mouths of fighters that actually never fought Devin Haney. So how do you know how hard does he punch with the regulated gloves on, with no headgear or 12-ounce gloves? Under the bright lights. How do you know how Devin Haney hits? And Devin Haney's reputation in like the gyms, he's been known to be a little bully. They said that he really steps it up in sparring. So when you go back and you trace your source of where this came from, Devin Haney's pillow fisted, Ed Hearns, all these guys doubled down on it. And you see how Ed Hearn is quick. Oh, nobody wants to see Devin Haney fight. Nobody wants to see that. Conor Ben was sleeping on my shoulder. Yeah, right. Look at Conor Ben's reaction in the second round. Yeah, what you saw there was a great performance by Devin Haney, and he wasn't going to let it slip away. He stunned and shocked Brian Norman Jr. because that's how many times have we seen a fighter be called a hype job, and he wasn't that. Pillow fisted, and he wasn't that. Chinny, and he wasn't that. You can see, and Devin, his precaution is still like his fighter senses is really up there, because there were moments in the fight that I thought that Devin could have really took over the fight. Yes. I think he let Brian Norman Jr. off the hook a couple times because he respected how dangerous he was. he knew how powerful of a puncher Brian Norman Jr. is. And Devin showed the world and reminded the world, hey, I'm a pretty decent puncher too. And at 147, you know how when we ask if your power is going to translate to the next weight division? Very first official fight at 147, he drops the best in the division, Brian Norman Jr. Now listen, guys. Look, have at it. Do what you want as grown-ups. You're your own man. I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? Okay? But there's one thing I understand in boxing and at least in this sport. The shit talking is to motivate our fighters. It's like taking two pit bulls, and smacking them, right? Or putting that thing that gets them aggressive in front of their nose, right? That's what you're doing with your fighter. You're all the shit talking that went on for the last 4 months between Bill Haney and Brian Norman Jr. needs to stop the second their son's fight ended. Let that shit go, man. I'm not gonna say it's all an act. No, it's real aggression, real talks. They're taking shots at each other. They're stirring. They're hitting the bee's nest. They want their fighters to get activated. Did you hear what he said to me? I'm your dad. You hear how he talked to your father? You gonna let him talk to me like that? Oh man, and blah 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 blah. Right? But it's real, but there's a law. It's an unwritten rule that the second that fight ends, yo, man, thank you for the opportunity. Yo, some people don't understand it. They're like, yo, nah, ain't that supposed to be beef for life? Yo, calm down. We're not in the streets. This is a different kind of world of fighting. And this is how we do it in this world of fighting. You need to not attach all your beef still to Brian because you got to go move on to the next fighter. You about to argue with they camp. You can't keep him in your head, carry around all the beef from all the guys you. No, that's not how that works. So, respectfully, I mean, you guys can take your shots at each other. I told you so, this, whatever. That's cool. Like I said, I'm not telling you what to do. But competition was competition. That was that fight. We passed it now. We're going to move on in the shit talking, but not on the congratulations. Chill out. All right? Right? We got to congratulate some people here. Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying? The Haneys, he got the name up there, again. And the new. Can you say it? And the new? Listen, WBO, yo. Devin kind of scared me in the first round. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, y'all can go check my live out, right? Oh, by the way, I called the fight. Yeah, I picked Devin, unanimous decision on my live. You know what I'm saying? I actually won my belt, the Notre Dame World title, where you come on my show and you try to pick the exact round of what's going to happen. So I actually won that last night, right? Because I won the Devin Haney fight because I picked it. Finally, I as the fight got there and they were walking, I made my prediction. And it's kind of like what I felt. I said it on multiple shows. I said that I felt that Devin Haney was going to get out early in the fight. And Brian Norman Jr. wasn't going to be able to get to Devin Haney. And he was going to have to sell out and take chances. That's the most dangerous version of Brian Norman Jr. I felt was going to happen. And if Devin Haney could nullify that and weather that storm and control that part of Brian Norman Jr., he would win this fight in a unanimous decision. And that's exactly what happened. And I was like, I felt like going into the fight that Devin, from a lot of the smear campaign, because a lot of this shit was smear campaign on Devin's name, to tell you the truth. It wasn't actually anything he did in the ring. Like when Tank Davis came out, you know what I'm saying, and said that famous one liner, you an email champion to Devin Haney. There were people in the boxing world that actually thought that Devin Haney was the first email champion in the entire boxing world because Tank said, where they do that at? I never seen that done. Well, no, Tank. They've done that for years. And an email, see, Tank made it a joke, but that's how they notify you to alert you and your team that you are now the current champion of the world. We will be mailing you a belt. That's how, they don't actually email, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the belt. No, they just alerting you through an email. You know how an email works. So it was a one liner that really killed a lot of momentum in Devin Haney's career, but there's no fault to his own. How many people, or you yourself, imagine you being a professional boxer, being undefeated, fighting everybody, challenging the guy that you're mandatory, he vacates the belt. They alert you that he doesn't want to fight you. He vacates it. So now you become the champion. And for that, you're shamed? Would you say no to that belt? No, no, I don't want it like that. I want to fight a champion. Apparently, you're not going to fight a champion because he's going to be vacant. Now you got to fight someone else, right? Because you can't fight the original guy champion because he doesn't want to fight you. So imagine being shamed for being credited the champion that you deserve. You punked the champion. So a lot of the shit that Devin and the pillow fist did, Devin's chinny, Linares made him do the stanky leg. Like, that's all bullshit. Like, was Floyd Mayweather chinny? Hell no. He had an iron chin, but he did the stanky leg. Like, what? You're in a fight. You're gonna get hit. So a lot of the scrutiny that Devin Haney got throughout his career really wasn't due in part to his boxing. What really affected him was after the Ryan Garcia. Pre Ryan Garcia, post Ryan Garcia, like before and after. Those were two different fighters, Devin, right? And he was also growing in age. So we saw what happened with the Jose fight. A lot of us were skeptical. Then all of a sudden he's coming out with the Debo shirts and shit. You like, come on, Dev. Like what? Dev Dollars. Stop it. Is it Dev Dollars, Dev Dream, or Dev Devo? Like, yo, chill, right? So I thought that I listen, to be honest with you, um, I thought that the performance that Devin Haney did was a good one. In the fight, once he dropped him in the second round, I also called it. I said, man, now that Devin dropped him, he's gonna try to coast. I had a feeling he was gonna do that. As soon as he dropped him, the image in my mind went right to Regis Progress, right to it. And I remember when he dropped Regis Progress, and even how hurt he had Regis, and you know how Devin was cautious in that fight. Okay, but rightfully so. He had the right to be cautious against Regis. Let's remember the situation. Moving up a new weight division, no tune-up fight, challenging the champion right away, and a bigger puncher supposed to be Regis Progress, and that Devin was crazy for doing this. And so Devin didn't, jump into the firefight with him, with Regis. I kind of felt the same thing with Brian Norman Jr. And secretly, under the radar, when you look back at Devin Haney's career, you're going to notice a pattern of Devin Haney jumping up the next weight division and challenging the champion right away. And not only did he challenge this champion right away, he was supposed to be the best 147 pounder, and he was undefeated. And he's coming off 3 brutal straight knockouts. Yep. So when you look back at Devin's career, behind all the smoke and mirrors, behind all the Ed Hearn statements and the Tank Davis fans, behind all that, if you look at Devin Haney's resume so far, it's way better than fucking Tank Davis. It's way better. He's got Teal. I know Teal got Josh Taylor. I'll give him Josh Taylor, right? But Devin's got Loma. And then Brian Norman Jr. Then Leonard, like, come on, nah, Devin, and he's got Ryan too. It's a no contest. They shared the ring. If you cannot erase the ass whooping, you cannot erase that they fought, right? So Ryan's name's on his resume. Okay, all right. I know Ryan's not a champion. It's not saying like a crazy, very popular kid. Very popular. Dude, listen, he has the ability to become a champion sometimes. But congratulations, Devin Haney. Congratulations to Devin Haney. 3-division world champion. Sky's the limit, young man. Who does Devin Haney fight next from here? I'll get to that in a second. I just think that the performance was good. Bill Haney. Bill Haney should be proud of his son's performance and move on. Move on. Brian Norman Jr. and Sr. is not your enemy. They are actually your boxing brothers. You guys represent the USA. Okay? Let shit go. Move on to the next. Brian Norman Jr., I would like to see you potentially fight again for another world title. Maybe the winner out of Mario Barrio and Ryan. I don't know. I doubt that because I think Turkey's going to have the winner fight Devin Haney. I think that's what's being lined up. Because Ryan Garcia allegedly got a February 21st date with Mario Barrio. So if he wins that belt, that's a no-brainer, bro. That is a no-brainer. The rematch with Devin and oh my God, everybody wants answers. Everybody wants closure in that fight. And if they both have a belt, unification. Jesus. If the stars line up, haven't we seen this movie before where Ryan was supposed to now do his part because Devin Haney did his part? If Ryan doesn't win this fight against Mario Barrio, he's done. He's done. I think he'll be done as far as trying to get a belt. No more hopping in line. The favoritism. I don't know. I don't know if he holds his star value or whatever. Ryan's a tricky one. It's kind of like the professional Jake Paul. Ryan Garcia. The professional boxer Jake Paul, He's got a lot of star status, a lot of like social media. He's got a big following. So he's tricky, Ryan, whether or not he would hold on to his star status if he was to lose to Mario Barrio. That I would have to see. I wouldn't count him out yet. Yeah. Salute everybody that joined the live stream. Riverside, California, what's up? Mac. Who was my pick for the fight again? I had Devin Haney for the fight going into the fight. Unanimous decision. I took Devin Haney. I had I also said that a lot of people felt that Puma's fight was going to be a lot closer to Bam Rodriguez. And I actually went on with my friends, and I think I was actually on Claymore's show too. And I said, nah, Bam Bam Rodriguez is gonna wipe Puma down. He's gonna make it look easy. I said he gonna wipe him down. Um, and the reason why I felt that way is because if you're talking about Bam Bam Rodriguez in the conversation, the pound for pound list, remember I broke this down and I asked everybody, I said, no matter where you place him, Usyk, Naoya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, no matter what order, I don't care what order it is, those are the top three. So he's not getting in that room. He's not cracking the top three. I said, where do you put him? Do you put him in front of Junto Nakatoni? Do you put him in front of Shakur Stevenson for skills? Because the pound for pound list is supposed to be basically a skill list, right? Okay. So he can't crack the top three because at the end of the day, it's going to come to the hardware. And since everybody in the top three got 4 belts, uh, you only got 3. And that's what the conversation is going to come down to. It's not because all 3 of them in the top are rightfully so well skilled. Naoya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, and Usyk, they're fucking well skilled. So if Bam Bam is what he's bringing to the table with skill, we've already got that. So that crosses out. So okay, that wipes everything out. What else do you have? Well, they have all 4 belts. What do you got? 3. Well, you're gonna have to stand out here. That's how that's gonna go. So, and then Junto, man, since he left the 118, it's not like Bam Rodriguez can move up one more weight division to challenge him. He already left. He vacated his belts. Bam's too far away. So Koki, I was wrong about Devin. Listen, eat the crow, brother. Just move on. You know what I mean? Move on. Yeah. Koki. And Koki was like, yo, round 1 be glazing Devin sometimes and shit, right? I know it, right? And I was like, nah, I was trying to tell y'all that what I saw. But I was fair. I was fair in my assessment. Like, I don't let my head, like, sometimes, because I got to study Devin for a long time, man. He was so young when he came in. And I told you guys, Devin was the type of fighter that he just wasn't a finished product. Now he really understands things. You see, and it's a shame when Devin's entering a phase in his career where boxing is starting to make sense to him, where everything's coming together and he's shaving fat off his fighting style. By shaving fat off your fighting style, it's going to give the impression that you're throwing less punches sometimes and maybe moving a little more. But you realize we're doing a little bit less and more effective is better than just doing all this shit, wasting energy. And he's actually tightening his game. But under the criticism of Tom and Jerry fights and what happened and all, it's going to give a false impression that someone can come out and say, look, he's trash. This is boring. This is this. And no. Because when we see the masters at the end of their career, they do things so simple, it makes it look so easy, effortless. That's 20 years. That's a 20-year career that did that for you. That you learned. I didn't have to do all this. Look, just do the right there. And I do it as simple as that, but it's way more complicated than that. But it will take you a career to understand that. And Devin's going to get criticism for that. Devin's going to actually look good doing the right things and be pressured by the audience, by the fans to go in because they don't have enough. Yo, Ed Hearn, pump your fucking brakes with your British dude, bro. Conor Ben, he beat who? Somebody's his dad was a champion. That's who he beat. Bro, stop trying to act like a gangster, like you wasn't just impressed with Devin Haney. I tell you what, on that night, if you ever get Conor Benn in that ring with Devin, I tell you what, Ed. I, I wouldn't do it on the first fight just to be smart. You're not a very good, smart boxing man. When it comes to matchmaking, Ed Hearn, you suck. If Frank Warren whooped your ass, huh? Didn't Chris Bay like wiped you down match by match because he knew how to match people? He wiped you down. So obviously, you don't have a really great eye for talent. You don't know how to identify certain fighting styles or for certain fighting situations or how the body should respond. I'm gonna give you a tip. I'm gonna give you two tips right now, Ed Hearn. First tip: never eat yellow snow. Don't eat it. It's no good. It's no good. Don't eat it, right? My second tip: you take your punk ass boy, Conor Benn, right? Go ahead and put him in the ring right away with Devin Haney, jumping down all that weight. His punch resistance is not gonna be there. He's gonna get hurt. My best advice: see how he fares. Put him in with a likely a foe, someone down, and then bring him in. And then bring him in because you don't know how he's going to respond. So I just want the ass whooping to be fair. And since I'm not biased, I'm giving you advice. Protect your boy first. Your boy might be a little dog. You got it. Conor Benn is a dog, right? And he's a tough dude, right? So I know what you got there, right? But what we got is a 3-time world champion. So watch your mouth and respect the champions in this sport. All right? Devin Haney is entertaining. Devin Haney is a skilled fighter. Devin Haney has pop. He got that boy Brian Norman Jr. thinking, no, he's pillow fisted. He's pillow fisted. I try to tell you guys that. Look where you're getting your source from. Everybody that was saying that Devin Haney was pillow fisted just happened not to ever fight him in the ring. Tank Davis, oh, he's pillow, but you never fought him. Shakur Stevenson, he's pillow. You never fought him in the ring. Teofimo Lopez, you never fought him. You guys just bullied Devin Haney, by words. You guys got together and then turned on each other, but made sure you bash the dream. Yo, if he wasn't that hot a commodity, why did Turkey Al-Sheikh pay that much money for a 3-fight deal? Why was it that Devin Haney came into this fight the underdog, Brian Norman Jr. came in as the champion, and Devin got paid the most? If he ain't exciting, if he ain't a star, he might discourage some fans with that bullshit, but the rest of the boxing world knows what they see. And I'm always telling you guys, I'm here to fucking pull the smoke screen, the curtain. Nope. Look, I'm trying to tell you guys the best I can. I'm not always accurate like 100. We were dealing with humans. We're actually guessing here. You know what I'm saying? But by experience, from what I see in my experience, I'm able to break down certain things. And I try to express that the best I can, but also asking the viewer, what do you guys think? Who do you guys got? Remember, I have none of them. And competitively, I told you guys, I got the Americans. All the Americans in the fight, I got the Americans on the card. So they did. It was a great night. As far as that, we're going to touch on a couple more fights here. Abdullah Mason, and I want to talk about these moments, man. These young men deserve it. But as far as Devin Haney, man, look, I don't think Brian Norman Jr. has nothing to hold his head down. Thank you, Brian Norman Jr., for stepping in the ring with Devin Haney, giving Devin Haney the opportunity at your belt. Thank you, Brian Norman Jr., for being the champion that you are. I know you will be back. You are young, hella young. You will be a champion again. Okay? This is just a bump in the road. It happens. You took a chance. You took a shot. You got paid well. You didn't go out there and get wiped down. No, you didn't. Um, I've seen worse fights. Okay. So look, Brian Norman Jr., back to the lab. I would love to have you come on the show. You know what I'm saying? You and your dad, bro. Your dad's the shit, bro. You guys are cool as shit, bro. And there's no love lost with me. I would love the Haneys to come on. I don't think Devin's gonna do it because he's a little too, much of a star nowadays. But I would love Bill or even D, his associate, the one that was with Ness and shit. I would like for him to come on, whatever, and just chop it up or whatever. They, feel free. You know, tell me about your experience in the fight. You know, um, Fight's a fight, man. Like I said, we move on to the next. None of these guys. I wish them both the best. Both great fighters, and we'll see where they go from here. But Devin Haney, great performance, man. Great bounce back fight. You know, uh, some people are gonna say you could have did more, or you could have did less, or you could have did this, or you could have did that. Listen, you did what you needed to do to come out on top. Um, and Devin, I saw you stand in front of Brian Norman Jr. all night. I didn't see no running. Uh, it was a little bit in between the action. A little, a little time in between. I felt sometimes, but I think that was pressured by the viewers of having expectation that this is the way you should be fighting. You know what I mean? And rather than appreciating what we were watching, there's a difference. And then I appreciated this morning what just occurred. So congratulations, Devin Haney, and the new WBO world champion, 147 pounds. If you want the WBO title, all roads lead to Devin Haney now. Where he goes from here, time will tell. Well, you know what I'm saying? We'll see. Um, and another young champion.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The
Listen,
champ is here. The champ is here.
what are you guys saying? Salute, Bam Bam Boogie. Everybody that's in the chat, hit that like button for me, guys. Come on, get them likes up. No likes? What's going on? Can I get some likes, guys? Yo, Abdullah Mason, what'd you guys think about that fight with Sam Notes? What'd you guys think about that fight? What do you think? I thought, Abdullah Mason really showed uh his level in fighting. Yo, Sam Notes did not look like Sam Notes in them highlights, in them reels, in them fights, the way he was moving around those other guys. Abdullah gave him too much to worry about, huh? He was just, and when Abdullah kept him outside of range, outside of his punches, when Abdullah Mason kept him outside of his punches and stuff, I felt like he was doing a lot of his best work. That pressure that Sam Notes was putting on young Abdullah Mason, you see, he had to deal with that, and then, you know, when somebody's grabbing you in the fight, that drains you. That can drain you. And I said to myself, damn, Abdullah's never been 12 rounds. Is he gonna, like, when we hit the 9th, 10th round, is he gonna start to gas out? Now he had 10-round fights, but he never made the 10 rounds. No dude to impart, and you don't get paid for overtime. So he's gonna get the guys out of there. But his cardio held up. Abdullah's cardio held up. He was punching strong all the way down to the bell. He was taking breaks, which was expected in between rounds. Yes. A young fighter, first 12-round fight. And that's when Sam Notes was getting his opportunities. He was banking on that. He was definitely banking on that. I think that was part of the strategy. When Abdullah starts, you see him taking, a breath, a breather, in between the round. Attack him. Don't let him breathe. Push him back, because all those things, tensing up, going backwards, and you were already slightly fatigued trying to catch a wind, it could deplete you. So, although Sam Notes wasn't landing any real big effective shots, sometimes he was getting some shots in. Although he wasn't, when he was doing that, I was worried, because this is territory I've never seen Abdullah Mason in. So this is something I was watching for the first time. And I'm learning about him as a fighter. I'm learning about his pedigree, his grit, his mindset, his fortitude. Does he want this fight more than Sam Notes? Is he fighting like a dog, like a champion? You know, is he shying away a little bit, like I felt like Devin Haney did a little in the Brian Norman Jr. As soon, the commentator said it too, and I was thinking it. As soon as I was watching the fight, I was thinking Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad. I was like, no, don't do this, Devin. Fight strong, Devin. You know, I was, and you know, these are all things that I had to find out for the first time with Abdullah Mason. You know, you say to yourself, "No, we've seen the dog before in his fights." No, that's not the kind of dog I'm talking about. That's the kind of dog when he was winning, when he's comfortable, when he's on the attack. Yeah, I've seen that kind of version of him. Yes. I'm talking about the one that has to fight through perseverance, that's going to be battle tested, mental fortitude. What kind of dog are you then when you're fighting off the back foot, when things ain't going your way? Now, let me see what kind of fighter you are there. You know? You see, you have to understand that these coaches train these young men day in and day out, practicing meticulously over punches and combos, right? So that on the day of the fight, you as a fighter, you select the weapons and use it in boxing sequences and what you see. It's not like a robot, we winding you up and we're saying in the first round we want you to throw jab, jab, right, right. Boxing doesn't go that way. We train you to throw every punch. Now show me what you learned. Put it all together. You're the artist. We taught you how to paint. We taught you how to stroke the brush, how to see the canvas, how to see your work in a different light. Now go out there and put it all together. But remember, son, you might only have one night. That is the art of boxing. And when you watch young fighters like Abdullah Mason, like I do, when I'm watching him, I'm studying him. I'm watching the art of boxing is what I'm watching. Yeah. I've gone through my moments as a fan for 20 years where I just sat down, watched it, was entertained. Yeah, naga, ah, right? And then my curiosity, it brought me somewhere else. You know, in the conversations, who is the best fighter and why? Really? Why is your guy the best fighter? And when you start to understand the dance and it starts to reveal itself to you, do you appreciate it that much more? So that's why you appreciate the great ones, the elite, because the reason why they're elite is because very few men can do exactly what they're doing. And if there's any men that can do or mirror, it would be they can only mirror one part of them, like match their speed, but they won't have the ring IQ, the footwork, and the power that he has. You know, when you get these guys that are the exception, they have everything. I think that one of the greatest attributes that a fighter, an elite fighter, like such as Floyd Mayweather, I think one of his greatest attributes that he had was his gas tank, his endurance. He never got tired. When have you ever seen Mayweather tired in a fight? Ever. And I mean ever. The way he started the fight is the way he ends it. He looks exactly the same way. And then with all his God-given gifts, he had it all. That is rare. Like, that's what makes him special like that. Naoya Inoue is like a fighter like that too. Terrence Crawford's not that kind of fighter. No. Terrence Crawford's just a winner. He's just a winner. That's what he is. He's not the type of fighter where, see, because he had flaws, but he also had great qualities. He's probably one of the best switch hitters, lefty to righty, I've ever seen. I never seen Mayweather do that or Naoya Inoue do that. He and that part, see, he had something they didn't have. Well, not that they didn't have it, they just never really chose to use it. So I can't say that. But Terrence proved it. That's without a doubt. He would switch to lefty and it would he looked so good. I wouldn't even notice sometimes. But like, is he in the left? Like, but isn't he righty? Like, now that what he punches with both hands, Terrence got power in both. That is a trait not everybody has. See, that's elite level shit. He just never had his great dancing partners, like fucking 23 world champions, for instance. He just never had his 23 world champions. That's all. He don't really got that. He got Saul and that's it, really. Like, that's it. You know, when you're looking at like Saul's record or a person like Mayweather, Mayweather got Saul, he got Manny Pacman, he got fucking Shane Mosley, Zab Judah. I mean, it's too much. It's too much. Terrence, and but that's why I don't put Terrence all the way up there with the elites. He is an elite fighter in a way. Yes, he is. I got to take that back, right? He is an elite fighter because he does shit people another person can't imitate. That's what makes you elite. So he does qualify for an elite fighter. He's just not going to be all-time elite like the great ones, like Ali and them and shit, because they got the resume to back it up. They got the hardware and the resume. They got everything. Terrence has the hardware. He just doesn't have the resume. He has one of the two things. He just doesn't have the other. And that's where the argument's going to fall at the wayside for like the hardcore people. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it is about belts. Yes, it is. It's about belts. Those belts mean something. You know, the argument's going to stand that fucking he fought one guy for 4 belts and one guy for 3 belts, right? And it's that old catch-22 situation in life, right? It's that old, like, wait a minute. So he fought Saul that had 4 belts, so that made it easy. It's not like he went out and won every belt individually, one man would say, right? But wait a minute. Doesn't that make Saul a stronger champion rather than fighting a 1 belt champion? You fought a 4 belt champion. So by collecting all the belts, it speaks to what kind of champ you are. You're a strong champion, but if I beat you, I get criticized because I only had to fight one guy to achieve everything. You see, it's that old catch-22. Like, huh? So if he fought Errol and Errol had 3 belts, he only had to beat one guy for 3 belts. But wait a minute, isn't Errol a strong champion because he's a unified champion? He has 3 belts. Should he get credit for that? But it was just easier to achieve rather than the next guy going out there getting had to fight one. It could take a year, 2 years to do that, where you only did it on one night. But you got to value how strong he is as a champion, right? So you're damn if you do, you're damn if you don't. Right? A lot of people say that Taylor got his success from beating B Hot for all four of his belts, that he would have never went down as that kind of champion. But it was because he gave him a shot at all four belts type shit. You know, like whoever beats Naoya anyway, if that day ever comes, I don't think it's going to come, right? You basically can stamp your name into the Hall of Fame, you know, because of the type of champion that he made himself. Yeah. So I think that Terrence Crawford's got a great belt resume. You can't argue that. All four belts in 3 separate weight divisions. You can't argue that. You know, his resume though. Nah. Now that it's fucking crazy when what's his name? Gabriel Rosado. His resume is better than Terrence's, and he never won a world title. Ooh. That's crazy. That is crazy. I never looked at it like that. I never looked at it like that. But that's crazy. But young man, Abdullah Mason, he definitely came up. And I want to see some more of him where he goes from here. Remember, this is supposed to be Keyshawn Davis. Abdullah Mason should not have this belt and should have not been fighting for that belt. Remember that. All right? There should have been another Keyshawn Davis night. Keyshawn Davis should have been in Riyadh season defending this belt or unifying with another champion in a belt, right? Right now. But yet Keyshawn Davis has not been heard from since that meltdown. And Abdullah Mason just took his place. But belts don't matter. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Why you think Conor Ben showed up? To antagonize who? To call out who? The champion. Why? Because you want one. You want one of those. You don't got one of those. You know what I mean? Team Haney Ninjas? Yo, listen. Hey, yo, listen. You guys can listen, definitely Vic Star. Listen, you guys can definitely, you know, um beat your chest and shoot the horn and tell the world I told you so. You rightfully so. Rightfully so. You know, speak up for your boy, Devin Haney, because he's gotten enough scrutiny. They had no problem dogging him. So when he wins, have no problem yelling it from the rooftop. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that shit. If they had the right to talk that shit, talk your shit. I'm not hating at no Devin Haney fan right now. Just because you gloating over you winning. Just go ahead and have your moment. Do your thing. It's like, you know, like Devin Haney said when he got out of the ring, he lost everything in 2024. And now he's building it back. And 2026 is going to be his year. Now he's got a piece, he's got something that he can offer to the other champions to entice them to fight him. Because although we want to watch these world title fights and champion fighting champion, let me remind you in the boxing world that there is no rule in boxing that one champion must fight the other champion. No, the WBC only cares about their ranking system, like the IBF, the WBA, and the WBO. They only care about the guys that are paying sanctioning fees in their organization to compete for their belt. There's no written rule that the WBA guy has to fight the IBF. The way that occurs is that those two guys have the same vision. Both of them want to unify. They want to be a stronger champ. They have the same dreams and aspirations of becoming a unified world champion. So since you want the same thing, it makes the fight that much easier. Sometimes you got one champion that is not as strong and is the clear underdog. And what entices him is money. You throw enough money his way, he'll say, yes, I'll take the fight because it's worth the loss. Had I not passed up on that fight, I fight 3 fights, and even if I win the next 3 fights, I won't make that much money. But you give me that much money, it's worth it. You see, that belt, sometimes you got to use it as a bargaining chip. That belt speaks to much more than just you being a champion. It's your leverage. It's your hard work and sacrifice throughout all your years. The belt says, show me the money. That's what the belt says. And if you can get another champion that wants what you have, well, then you're going to have to pay for that. That's business. It's the same thing that Nick Ball is doing with his belt, trying to entice Naoya Inoue, avoiding of fighting any real solid guy up there because he wants what? The sweepstakes fight. The Naoya Inoue fight. That's the money fight right there. So he knows what he has. And as long as he has what he wants, he's valuable. But the minute he loses it, he's no longer in the game. So you got to protect that. Brian Norman Jr. took the fight with Devin Haney. Why? He got paid damn near 4 times the amount he's ever made in a fight. For instance, he went out to Japan and fought Jin Sasaki. He got a little over $600,000 for that fight. Reportedly so, he made his purse was $3 million. From $600,000 to $3 million? That's 4 times almost what you made in your last fight. You see why he takes the fight? So sometimes you got to market yourself, and sometimes you got to take a chance, and it was worth the risk. He came up short, Brian Norman Jr. He lost. Good, okay. But he was paid handsomely. Rightfully so, right? Okay. So salute, guys. Suckers, watch out. Nasty work. Why? What happened with that? I gotta catch up on when did I say something and you and fit that in where it is. But yeah, where was I? She's cleaning all around me. So where was I here? No, all right. So it's just like, you know, watching these guys and everything come up and stuff. It's exciting, the Abdullah Masons and everything too for me. But the other fight also on the card was the Puma and the Bam Bam Rodriguez, right? And like I was starting to tell you guys how I knew that Puma was gonna have a bad night, and that Bam Rodriguez was just gonna wipe him down. And the reason why I've always felt like that too is because it's not like we're like saying, "Yo, we want to see Puma fight Naoya Inoue." When have you ever heard him say, "We want to see Puma fight Junto Nakatoni"? We don't say that. We don't say we want to see Puma move up and challenge the guys at 126. No, we say that about Naoya Inoue, right? And if you're going to talk up the lights of a fighter and you're going to try to put him in the category with a potential fight with Naoya Inoue, well, then that guy must be good. That guy better be special. That guy better go out there and just wipe Puma down because, according to what you're saying, if this is the guy you think one day can dethrone Naoya in a way, well, then he should have no problem with a fighter like Puma. I don't care how valuable Naoya Inoue would destroy him. And I'm talking about, I'm not sure if this guy gets out the first half of the fight from 1 to 5 with Naoya Inoue. I don't think he makes it out of that. I know Bam Rodriguez likes to play with his food, and when he's ready, he's going to knock the guy out. And he knocked the guy out in the 10th round because he was done playing with him. Okay, cool. And he showed that he's a boxer, a technician, everything. He got footwork. He outclassed him. He did exactly what I thought he was going to do. And that's the reason why we're talking about him against Naoya Inoue, Junto Nakatoni, and those big fights. That is exactly why. Because he went out there and reminded the world, hey, I'm Bam Bam Rodriguez over here. Look over here. And Bam's done some pretty impressive shit too. You know, he's a respectful champion. He's got 3. Let him get that 4th. And you know, you gotta do shit like that if you want to be talked up with those men. You got to. Because the sports world, we always have a tendency of taking the next new shiny thing. I've been guilty of this myself from time to time. And we're a prisoner in the moment. We see some shit. Oh shit, he's the best. Up. And I think a lot of people did that with Brian Norman Jr. That he was just gonna knock Devin Haney out. And I was more on the line. He would have to catch up to Devin Haney first. How's he gonna do that? And that's, I kept thinking there. I knew that Brian Norman was tough though. That Santillan fight. The reason why I brought that up, because I thought he was going to have to weather a storm. And I used the Santillan fight to describe what kind of storm he might have to weather, but it might be worse. And it was, but speak to his toughness and how he was able to turn the fight around. So with Brian Norman Jr., I felt like that was going to be, and he was a little hesitant once he started feeling Devin's power. What makes a fighter hesitant? Power. It'll make you not throw punches. Yeah. So, hey, it is what it is. And then, you got David the Monster Benavidez with Yard. David, for me, looked a little skinny, still punching strong, hard, fast. But he didn't look like the bigger guy. What surprised me was after the fight that he announced he wanted to go up. I was like, wow, like, huh? But I know that David will be able to put on the weight. David's a big dude. He's a big dude. And had it not been for boxing, he would be like one of those big overweight guys. I watch when he gets older in his career and he like lets David's gonna be a heavy dude, bro. You could see it in his frame, his metabolism. You could see it. And boxing is what really keeps him in shape. Maybe his body's just changing, old age, getting older and stuff. So we'll see. And years of training, probably his body's changing. Our bodies change all the time, sometimes for the worse, not for the best. And some of us don't age well, and some of us age pretty well. So, you know, um, but that kind of surprised me. That kind of surprised me that he was going to go up. So we'll see what he does. His performance, he looks strong. Um, can you honestly say that was not expected? you as a boxing fan, can you honestly say, like, nah, that's what I thought was gonna happen. I thought he was gonna stop Yard. I didn't know when. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? I could be Nostradamus all the time. I only use my powers when they need it to win. That's it. And then I turn them off. You know what I mean? Right? So, like, but when he did it, I was like, oh shit, yeah. But I was like, I kind of expected that. I kind of expected that. I talked about the fact that he didn't knock out any of his last three opponents, is David Damonte Benavidez, and his power didn't look like it was translating over. Right? Okay. So I felt like he needed a knockout to really, like, I'm the monster. I'm here. I'm tough. You need that for your image as well. How you gonna be a monster going into the decision? He's the monster decision. Monster decision. Monster decision. What? You start taking on names like the monster, the devil, or the bull or the rhino. Well, then if you're the rhino, you better be strong. You can't be the rhino and be frail as hell. It's not gonna work. Some of these names you got to live up to. Am I right? So I felt like he needed to stop Yard. I really did. And that's what I reported. I said his power hasn't shown up, doesn't look like it, and could this be the night that he gets that stoppage that he desperately needs? He got it. Bam. I was like, all right, cool. But not to take away anything from David the Monster Benavidez, because this shit is not easy boxing. And what he did to Yard looked good though. Let's talk about it. Anthony Yard did not look bad. As a matter of fact, he looked better than some previous fights. It's like he was real, like, thin, cut up, sit down. He wasn't like that bulky cut up that he usually has. Um, he gave a good account of himself, Anthony Yard, man. I thought he was fighting great. I think just David was just a level above him. That's all. That's all that was. But the way he was fighting, then they took the point for David hitting him, like, when he knocked him down, he hit him low like that. And the ref took the point from David the Monster Benavidez, and that punch could have really hurt him a lot more. He was down, not expecting to get hit, and then you get hit. You know? So, and then David, put his work out. The knockout that the knockout of the night, I think, was when Bam Bam Rodriguez knocked out Puma. The way he knocked him out with that one, oh, bro, I was like, oh shit, he just fell flat. Like, I was like, damn. Now that's a knockout. So the Anthony Yard knockout, in comparison of the night, I think that the best knockout of the night, I don't know who you guys got. Who had the best knockout or the best fight you guys think of the night? You gotta respect. And Puma, you see, Bam made it look too easy. But you gotta respect who he did it to. That was an undefeated champion. And as a matter of fact, remember, Puma vacated the IBF to fight Ioka the second time. So he actually had two belts. So if he never would have relinquished that belt just to fight Ioka again the second time, he would have actually came into that fight with two belts, and Bam Bam Boogie would be the undisputed world champion this morning. So let's keep that in mind. Legitimately, Puma was a unified world champion. He had two belts. He never lost for that belt. He gave it up to rematch that Japanese dude, Ioka. So just keep that in mind. And then the way he did it, you did that to a world champion, an undefeated one. technically a unified one. So even though he made it look easy, it kind of takes away from the fight. You're like, wasn't really competitive, because this guy won the, and then he knocked him out. He made him look like a journeyman. No, you did that to an undisputed, undefeated world champion. That's who you did that to. That's like, you got to give him credit for doing that, because that's what Naoya Inoue did to Stephen Kubo Fulton. And no sooner that they beat these guys, you know what people said in my chat last night? They said Brian Norman Jr. has a glass jaw because pillow-fisted Devin Haney put him down. And I said, rather than say that Devin Haney's not pillow-fisted, you would double down, triple down on the fact that he's pillow-fisted by calling Brian Norman Jr. now glass jaw. Rather than just giving Devin Haney the credit that he's not that pillow-fisted as you guys think. And the people that are saying that about him never fought him. So what do they know about his punching power? Those were just rumors and false statements that people ate up. It's about to be like this Subriel Matias shit. Have you guys heard anything else on it? Because I'm waiting. I'm curious on the findings right now. Yeah, I need them to free Subriel, bro. Clear my boy. We know this is bullshit. This is a clear case, man. They're railroading another fighter here, man. This is no good. It sucks. Ban wants to retire at 30 years old. Man, boxers say the darndest things. Don't listen to these guys. Stop it. Stop it. Floyd Mayweather said he wanted to retire in his 30s way before that. You know how many times he retired and came back? He took 2 years off. Came back. He took another year off. You know how many times fighters retire or say, I'm going to stop fighting at this certain age right here? Man, listen. You know what the insurance is on a Ferrari? Do you? Do you know what groundkeeping costs to maintain your yard, your grass? All year long, because you live in a sunny place, right? You know what your water bill is? Your light bill. For that little mansion you bought? Oh, and sitting next to your Ferrari is what? What do you got? What else you got? And you're gonna call it quits when? When your monthly bills are how much? Your monthly bills are $9,000 every month. Shit. That little bit of money you got and you say you want to stop at what age? Shit happens. Shit happens. All right? Mike Tyson has been rich and poor so many freaking times. He had 30 million, nothing. 60, half nothing. 120 to nothing. To yo, Mike, that dude's one fortunate dude. Mike Tyson, man. He lucky he was well loved. He was well loved. We love Mike, man. That's Mike, man. And he's the kind of person that reminds me that when you get money and shit, you fuck it up. You say, if I had the chance to do that again, I'll do it different. No, you don't. I wish life worked like that. I got the same exact money again, fucked it up again. Yeah. It took me another time to get it right and to learn it, how to appreciate it and stuff like that. Life is like that. You got to learn as you go and shit. But man, I'll tell you, man, a lot of these rumors and stuff, then Devin being pillow fisted, I never bought into that. Never bought into that. I try to tell you guys that shit. I think that he punches just fine. When I looked at Regis Progress's face, the evidence was he looked like he got kissed by a woman with red lipstick all over. He had red dots. Go back and look at Regis' face after the Devin Haney fight. He tattooed him up. I was like, damn. Yeah, so I knew he had respectfully. I'm not saying he's up there with the fucking the heavy hitters, Devin. No, I don't think he's ever gonna get there. I'm not saying he's there. I'm just saying he's not as pillow fisted as these people are portraying him to be. Like pillow fisted, for me, pillow fisted fighter. I'm not taking no shots at you, my brother. I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm just going by your resume. And unfortunately, a pillow fisted fighter, Stephen Kubo Fulton. Great fighter, good technician, awesome boxer, no power. Naoya Inoue kid brother, pillow fisted. Yo, he can hit you with 1,000 punches, bro. I guess the right one, the right places, he'll hurt you. But a seasoned fighter that can take shots, they got trouble. Stephen Kubo Fulton, he can outbox these guys. He hits enough to get their attention. I'm not going to say that he's pillow fisted in the sense where when he hits you, you don't feel nothing. No, but he just doesn't have like virtually no knockout power. They have a little bit, respectfully so. They do got some kind of pop. It's just not that when you fight these like real tough guys. You ever fight? For me, it was I don't want to like point out any nationality, but white boys in my neighborhood, right? For me, it was the white dudes, right? When we were younger, I fought this white kid, right? And he was like, I was like, bang, bang. And usually that bang, bang, dudes went down. I hit this dude, I went bang, bang, right? And dude, he's not a dude, he's a kid. He like me, my age, around my age. We like 13, 14 years old, some shit somewhere around there. So I hit him with the bang, bang, and he went, let's go. And I was like, oh shit. Those tough guys that can take a punch. In comparison, you know what I'm saying? Like when Steven gets in the ring with those guys, he's not, and the way to victory with Steven, I think he's gonna beat O'Shaughnessy Foster is just because he's a more technical, more active boxer, but O'Shaughnessy Foster kind of fights to the level of his competition as well. And O'Shaughnessy Foster has a tendency of really showing up and showing out. He could do that in this. That would have been a really great matchup right there. So, but Stephen Kubo Fulton, not a big puncher, man. Unfortunately, not a big puncher. Now, if you were saying shit like that about those kind of guys, I would say yes. But Devin doesn't have that resume. He does have he's in the teens. What is it, 13 knockouts or some shit? 15 or some shit? What was it again? I forget. But yeah, congratulations to the young man. And David the Monster Benavidez, this is your choice. I guess you, your father, your team feel a certain way. Maybe you are depleting yourself too much to try to make this weight. Look how thin he looked. Maybe he needs to even move up now more just to be able to be more comfortable. It's probably killing him to make this weight. So I don't know. Maybe he wants to be a multiple division world champion and he has his eyes and sets on a different kind of goal. It's going to be interesting to watch him. The rematch is being talked up about Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. Did you guys hear that? Yeah. So I want to see about that. And much more. Anything you guys really want to talk about in boxing? What where do you guys see Devin from here? Shakur has no power too. Well, Shakur was a big power puncher at 130, just like Teofimo Lopez was once upon a time. Teo moved up and the knockout stopped. Shakur moved up and the knockout stopped. But also the quality and the fighters they're fighting also got better. So it's not as easy to knock out a guy that's more seasoned than a guy that makes mistakes and walks into punches. It's easier to knock those guys out. I think that's a Shakur and Teo could knock out every guy they ever fought if the guy just stood there and just poked their chin out and said, just crack them. I think they can knock them out, right? If they just wind up and bang one person. But when you're fighting a guy with more boxing intelligence, you're not going to get to that button. He's going to hide it better. He's going to make you work for it. And the knockouts are going to be fewer in between. I've seen that in 100 careers. And I try to explain to people the reason why he's not getting knockouts is because his level of competition is going up and he's reached his peak. That's when you can tell that's what level you're on. You can't get past this level right now. You got to get past this level. You understand? And when you got fighters like Tiger Johnson that's moving up into other weight divisions, newer ones, bigger, heavier ones, and knocking out people and knocking out worthy opponents, that's when you know you're moving up on your level. You're not stagnant like Teo and Shakur. Tiger Johnson, the knockouts are still coming, and he's still looking better than his contemporaries. So that's the level game, man. Yeah, I don't think that when Tiger Johnson starts fighting even better competition, he might not be able to knock these guys out, or maybe he shows that he was that guy. And he separates himself from all. That's when you start to say, wait a minute, these guys are special. Then from special, they become elite. But there's a process. See, boxing can't be like football, where that Tom Brady could have 7 rings, and here comes Patrick Mahomes with 2 rings, and all of a sudden, what a disrespect, they're calling Patrick Mahomes the baby goat. The baby goat. The next you. But wait, there's more. He's actually better than you already, but he just hasn't done the work. He doesn't have the hardware. And then the old man had to take that boy to school and show the world, no, he's not the baby goat. He beat the brakes off Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Tom. Smashed him. Destroyed, ended that GOAT talk right there. See, in boxing, you got to earn it. There's a process, and unless you take care of some things or beat the man that makes you the man or type shit, or at least do some shit, that's why Conor Ben, no matter how loud he barks, all we hear is "Arr, arr, 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 arr." That's all we hear. No matter how loud Ryan Garcia barks, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." Fuck are you, bro? Like, no matter how loud Virgil Ortiz barks, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." Bro, you guys had your chances. You guys had your opportunities. So don't tell me that you're better than everybody else. But you just don't have the hardware. Nah, y'all motherfuckers been in the game for a long time. For a long time. Come on, man. Let's be honest. Ryan's been in the boxing just as long as Devin, Teo. We watched them at almost the exact same time. You've never had a world title? Tank's got world titles. Teo's got world titles. Devin Haney's got world titles. Shakur Stevenson got world titles. Everybody you came up with, Rolly got a world title. Isa Pitbull Cruz got a world title. Everybody around you got a world title but you. But somehow I'm supposed to say what? Virgil Ortiz, tremendous talent. He'll beat the shit out of Ryan, right? He's a way better fighter, right? What's going on? Management, promotion, timing. What's going on? I don't know. Connor Ben, what's going on? Is it eggs? Is eggs hindering you from becoming a world champion? Some eggs or something? I don't know. But I get on these guys too to just show respect to the champions, man. You know what I'm saying? All that trying to like, there's other classier ways for you to ask for a title shot. Just be a man about it. Yo, fucking fight me. I want to fight you. How about that? I'm gonna punch you in your face. Not try to discredit that other fighter by saying his fights are boring. Now you're attacking his name, his credibility, and you're putting out a false narrative to what? Make you tougher? So you're trying to disrespect the champion and lower the belt by saying what? To convince me that you're tough because you got tattoos on your face? Fuck out of here. You need to do some shit. I would just respect him getting in the ring saying, Devin Haney, I will break your fucking face if you ever give me a shot at that belt, punk. And even add a little bitch behind it. I would respect that. Connor Ben, get him, baby. If he, man, hell yeah. That's good old fashioned one-on-one shit fighting talk right there. I love that shit. Love it. You know, what I don't like is your fake shit. I'm sleeping. This is boring. No, it's not. Stop trying to be Ed Hearn and push out that fucking false ass message on my guys too. You know, because then I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna take shots at you too. And but the shots I'm taking at least are real. You know, they hurt more when it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't have to go down through fake shit. It hurts more when you say the truth. No, you don't got a world title, bub. No, you don't. TLB Shakur then moves up to beat. Oh my God, this must be low nose boxing. Has to be. I knew it. I knew it. That's my boy, low nose boxing. There's my boy. He always, when anybody mentions Teal's name, he pops up into the chat like, huh? Who said Teal? Teal who? Huh? What? Yo, my man is crazy. Listen, like I tell you guys, you know, I'm not an asshole. I'm not an asshole. I'm a fan of Teal. I like Teal. I think he's good for the sport. Teal made me a fan when he fought Loma. When I saw that young kid, Teofimo Lopez, in the ring with that man, two-time gold medalist, and the way Teal showed up, he made me a fan that day. Now, in recent years, a lot of Teal's antics and methods, I had to navigate my way around what Teal was doing in the meltdown. I had to keep track of why I felt he was doing this because I knew one thing: Teal's not racist. That I know for a fact, 100%. Did he say some borderline racist shit? Yes. But why did he do it? And I remember the time that a lot of these so-called boxing channels were all over Teofimo Lopez, taking shots at him while he was down getting a divorce from his wife. And they made mockery out of him. They said a lot of things. Sometimes, you know, people can go too far. And then when Tio came back and started lashing out months later when he got his shit together, people had forgot all the names and everything that they did to him. See, the only thing that the difference between the way Tio did it and the way they did it, see, these are guys, professional shit talkers. Tio's not a professional shit talker. Tio seems like the guy that wants to be funny in the room, but he's not funny. But he wants to be that smooth character. He looks the part. He wants to be the part. He's just not him. And when he says things, it might come off distasteful and a bit controversy, to say the least. Now, I can also say that he says things about my people, Puerto Ricans, and he made statements about them. But I'm grown up to know. I'm old enough to know. Okay, you might have said some shit, but I don't speak for all Puerto Ricans. I don't represent the island of Puerto Rico. I'm just one Puerto Rican man. And I understand it's not up to me. The Puerto Ricans didn't leave it to Round One Sports Talk to take it personal and to lash out at Teal. I chose to do it the warrior way. Allow Teal go in the ring with one of our guys, one of our top Puerto Rican guys. And I thought we were gonna get it when we got in Sabria Matias, but Teal, he saw the smoke and he was like, I'm out of here. And he didn't want to fight that monster. So we almost had it. But okay, cool. You know, as far as what Teal's antics, that's what I see them as. Antics. How many times have I seen a boxer say some shit? Mike Tyson said he wants to eat your kids. I've heard Biha say, I'm not going to lose to this white boy. I heard, you know how many times I've heard a boxer say some downright crazy shit? And all of a sudden, because Teofimo Lopez says a couple shits, I got to take it to heart? Hell no. All right. You said some stupid shit, right? But I still love you. I still like Teo. I believe he's great for the sport. Whenever you say Teofimo Lopez's name and one of the top dogs, people start, yeah. Why? Because of what Teo made himself to be. You know, he's a 2-division world champion. You respectfully so, he's got the ring. He's undefeated in the sense that he's never been knocked out. You know, in that sense. He lost to George Camboza, yeah, but he's undefeated in the sense that no one's knocked him out yet. You know, so if somebody can come and wipe him down and knock him out, and then I'll be like, yeah, you beat him, because that George Camboza fight, although he lost the fight, he also knocked down George in that fight too. And Teo came back strong in the late, but you could see his mental game wasn't there. But if you were to put George Camboza to fight Teofimo Lopez 10 times, Teo beats him 9 times. It was just that one night George got him. It's just that one night that George got Teo. And I could see that. I could see that. So I don't really like say like Teo's like, you know, lost the fight to the point where that I feel like you beat the best version of Teo. Nah, I haven't seen somebody beat the best version of him yet. Nah, he's a little craftier, a little trickier. You're gonna need somebody like Shakur to do it. I think Shakur can beat Teo. I think he can. Good fight though, interesting fight. I just know that slick boxers give Teo a lot of problem. Technical boxers, technicians, they give Teo a lot of problem. And Teo's best qualities, he fights best off the back foot, and he's a good counter puncher. I think that Shakur Stevenson is a better back foot fighter and a better counter puncher. So he's better at what you're the best at. You know what I mean? So how Teo beats him, there's ways. There's no man that can't be beat in this planet. Even Neo Inoue, he can be beaten. Anyone can be beaten. If you think you're just wait a minute, here comes that guy. He'll come, right? I learned that in fighting. So there is a way to beat Shakur. There is, you know, and then the only question that stands, can Shakur Stevenson figure out can Teofimo Lopez figure out Shakur Stevenson? Can he come up with a game plan to beat him? Possible? Yes. Yes. Not far out from the realm of, yeah, definitely. If anybody can beat Shakur, it's Tio. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Tio's a good man. He's a good fighter. You guys gotta watch out. This fucking Tio dude is crafty, bro. When he wants to show up and he settles in and you know, but you can get to Tio with his mind. You can get to him. You know, you can fuck with his mind, right? But when Tio's on, he's on. That dude is on, bro. hmm I seen him fight fucking Sando Martin is tricky. He's not a closer, but he's fucking tricky. Sando Martin is a good boxer that will test your boxing ability. Yeah, he will. And look at how Sando Martin tested Puello. Like that. And he almost had TO2. You know, and when you see your guys fight guys like that, you understand that Tio won that fight against Sando Martin. He did. He won it. Um, and the reason why he won it was because he was able to outsmart and patiently get himself back into a fight against a fighter like Sando Martin that in his own right is very creative, crafty. You know, I wouldn't and he's very he's what his speed comes with timing. Sando Martin. He appears to be more faster than what he actually is because his timing with his placement really, you know, but he's not a closer. I see that Sando Martin, he didn't close that fight with Tio and he didn't close the fight with Alberto Puello. No, he did not. He's not a that's the part of Sando Martin's game that he needs to perfect. He needs to close the fight because he had those fights won. You know, fighter when you're that's what I speak of, man. You know, when you speak, when you talk about these guys, man. Listen, Karen really surprised Jaron Boots Ennis, right? It's because those guys that come out of nowhere that are a lot better fighters than what because we don't know them. We're not familiar with them until you see them. You know what I mean? And then you're like, whoa. You know, those are those durable guys. Those are those guys. Keep putting your hand in that Mexican Tijuana bar. You're gonna pull out a killer. Yeah, let me just get a cherry pick. And you pull the wrong one out. Some hungry Mexican lion that just been waiting to fight his way out. And you get these guys that, man, yeah, so you got to watch out sometimes. What's up? If people study the Puerto Rican is what? I got to read your shit on the low here. If people study Puerto Rican, Spain, how? Okay. All right. Check this out. What happened was the island was called Borinquin, I think, right? Uh no. That was before the Taino Indians had it. They called it something else, right? What happened was Christopher Columbus's like voyage inspired Spaniards and shit, and Spain had the money, they had the gold, they had the backing. The problem was Spain was already a continent, a place, an island, or whatever, right? That was very far advanced as a society. Spain had their currency, they had, you know, they had a language, math, equations. They studied in school. They built stuff. They were adventurous, voyagers. Spain was one of the countries that was leading the way in those times. So when they pulled up with the ships at Puerto Rico, which we know to be Puerto Rico today, the Taino Indians were there. What Spain brought were African black slaves and Spaniards. So let's say they had like 3 boats and the people finally hit land. Some people didn't make the trip. They died on that boat by infections, diseases, and maybe boat sickness and shit. Some people did not survive the journey just to Puerto Rico. So when they finally got to the island of Puerto Rico, they said, yo, we staying right here. We're good. Nah. You guys can go on the boats. You know what? I don't even want to see Spain again. I'm good right here. And they didn't want to leave, right? They decided to stay. The other Spaniards hopped back on the boat, however months they were in Puerto Rico. What must have occurred, right? Because there's no way that the Spaniards or the black Africans would have been the majority on the island. There's no way. The Taino Indians had to be the majority of the people. So why didn't the Spaniards and the black dudes speak Taino Indian? Why didn't the Taino tongue dominate the land? Why did the tongue actually had to end up being the Spaniards guy's tongue? What had to have happened? Just think about it. You know what had to have happened? The Spaniard was the smartest person on the island. And instead of him learning your language, if you wanted to talk to see what he was doing, learn Spanish. And they saw that the smartest dude on the island, he spoke this language. He knew math. He knew astronomy. He knew how to do crops better. Whatever the Spaniards knew, they were far more intelligent than every other race on the island. It's the same way in Brazil. They don't speak Brazilian, they speak Portuguese. You mean to tell me they took over that entire island with trinkets? Hey, offerings. Hey, look what we have. How does this work? Well, if you want to learn how to speak to me. Soon, everybody's speaking Portuguese. Same concept must have happened on Puerto Rico. It had to be. Because if the Taino Indians were smarter and the black dudes were smarter, shit, we would have learned what the fuck they were saying. This guy is building shit. He's got a hut. He's got freaking a toilet. The Spaniard. We need to figure out how to talk to this dude. And to all his people. I don't know how many Spaniards stayed there, but I'm pretty sure you couldn't take enough boats to overpopulate, fight the Taino Indians, win in a war. There was just much better ways to do it. You know what I mean? Just talk to them. Show, hey, yo, look how to build this. Look, I made this. And they're like, ooh, how you did that? And they, whoa. This guy's smart, man. This guy's smart. Wait, I'll do that again. Boom. And he show you. So that's the only way I see it. I wasn't there, no. But logic. I'm going to make an educated guess. This is just my best educated guess of how this evolved. And then the way we became Boricuas, we ended racism. On the island of Puerto Rico, we have blacks, Spaniards, blonde hair, blue eyes, Taino Indian women that look like Pocahontas. That's why our aunts look like Pocahontas. You know, our uncles look like Tio Moreno, the dark one. And our that cousin we don't fuck with has blonde hair, blue eyes, right? Because he's always like this. Right? So in a Puerto Rican household, we were a mix. And then you got that one cousin that looks like Chino that we call him. He's like this. And he looks like a Chinaman. So we blend in with every nationality. So instead of on the island, what ended up happening after centuries or years, hundreds of years, right? That the blacks started mixing in with the Taino Indians. The Taino Indians started sleeping with the Spaniards. They started having kids. Rather than say, you're mulatto, You're still black, you're Taino Indian, and you're Spaniard. After hundreds of years, the bloodline mixed, and we don't want to be called mulatto. So what we said was, you're no longer black, you're no longer Spaniard, and you're no longer Taino Indians. We are all Boricua. Brave Lords, we're all Boricuas. So it didn't matter if you were black, white, Indian, we were one. And then when my people got introduced to the West, the Americans, they labeled us Hispanic. They labeled you white. They labeled him black. They labeled him Chinese. They labeled him like that. But our people didn't know race. For years, they were in harmony. Whatever race was there is there. We were all one, Boricua. And then we were introduced to this, the Western way of thinking. And then the rest is history. Here we are. How you doing? I'm Round One Sports Talk. I'm here talking to you about some fucking, you know what I mean? But yeah, just the way of the world. I don't know. The reason why is the mixture of European and the what? People of the land. Where the That's why no, we all have melanin in our hand. That's why our skin is dark, of course. Um no, through evolution, like this took years and years. This didn't happen in 20 years, man. You're talking 1,000 years of fucking evolution of, you know what I mean? Like, uh, the Puerto Ricans were like, they're an interesting group of people, right? For some reason they age different, like because of the, I think it's because of the Indian women. They look young as hell for a long time. Um, and I don't know. You know, that's just evolution, homeboy. I don't know why white people don't have it, Melon. I don't want to go that deep. I'm not a scientist. I'm not qualified to answer those kind of questions. I can't explain that shit. But yeah, man, and just little breakdown on what we are. We're just Boricua, bro. We're just Boricua. That's it. You know, we're like 18% African American, like 21% Spain, like 20 something percent Taino Indian in our bloodline. That's what we have. You know what I mean? So that's why my sister comes out darker, or my uncle or something like that. Like, uh, or you just have family members that are like, yeah, it's always been like that. I always knew that. I know what I am. You know what I mean? I'm a Boricua, you know, and that's what makes one. That's it. So it's just like saying, like, when my sister, we had an argument one time in the house, and she had a baby with a black dude, a black American. Well, he's black and Indian, right? Come to find out, he's a real Indian because my niece got like scholarships to college because of him, right? Because he could prove his Indian background. So he's like, he looks kind of Indian, but his mother was black, so he got afro hair, like he like that. So, you know, I don't want to say your name, bro, but you know who you are. So when my sister had a baby with him and the baby came out, I looked at the baby and I was like, she's a Boricua. And my sister said, no, she's mulatto. We're gonna respect her black heritage. And I said, what are you talking about? When you go and order a cheeseburger or hamburger, if I give you the cheeseburger and you just put more cheese on it, did it turn into a pizza? You just put more cheese on my cheeseburger. It's still a cheeseburger. He added black and Indian. We already had that. He just put more cheese on it. What you just had is a Boricua. If any Spanish Boricua woman have a baby with a black dude, all they had was a Boricua. How could you add more of the same ingredients and call it something else? No, you might have been raised black, you might have been raised more Hispanic, but what you are is 100% Boricua. There's no way you can have a baby with a black dude and a Puerto Rican chick, or a Puerto Rican dude and a black chick, and say that the baby's what? You didn't add anything new. We already had that. What is it? A Boricua. We already did. My ethnic group has already evolved. We have an island. We have a language. We have a culture. We've already been down this road. That if you have part Spaniard, Taino Indian, and black in your bloodline, what does that make you? A Boricua. We've already established that. We already named ourselves, made a culture, everything. How can 3,000 years later, some black dude in New York City date a Spanish girl and say, nope, my child is black? Also, because you say you change it? You change the culture of the entire Puerto Rican island. Oh, no, because just because you say it. Nah, man, there's shit that's been established in the world already. Way before you, way before me. I'm a Boricua. I know what's in my blood. I know what makes me. I'm not mulatto. Neither is my people. We're not mulatto. We're not split. And we're not playing that game. We're not saying because she's darker, she's more black than I'm more Hispanic or more Indian or more Spaniard. We're not playing that game. Just one drop of any of those three, that's what you are. We are established. We have a Puerto Rican language, everything. That's it. That's a done deal. For you to come out and say, nah, man, my kid's black. No, it's not. That's a Puerto Rican, bro. If your woman is Puerto Rican, that's a Puerto Rican child. That's how that goes. Did you add Chinese? Did you add Russian? No? Then you didn't change anything. That's what it is. That's it. And so you got to know who you are. Yeah, when I was asked all these questions as a child, I had to agree to it. If this is what makes us, then that's what makes us. There's no exceptions. It's not that you add more, less, or no. Long as you got those three combinations, one might be higher than the other for every different case, but it's the same thing. That's it. We ain't going backwards. We're not gonna just start taking apart religion, cultures because I'm some New York dudes with some Timberland boots, and I say what my kid is. It's what the father is. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Biologically, that might be true, but ethnically, that is far from the truth. Biologically, you might be more than your father. Yes, we all know that, right? So you're right, but you can't change the culture. You're not that powerful. You're just ignorant at that point. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Accept who you are. That's it. I'm not gonna play that shit and sit here and say that I'm Japanese. Although some days I wish to be Japanese, but I'm not Japanese, right? You know, I can say it until my face turns blue. You know, but nah, I would never do that. Actually, that's jokingly, but just be proud of that. But just know who you are, where you come from. It's important. It's important, to study your shit. Like I tell my crazy Irish wife here that's sitting right here, right? She thinks because she's Irish that she comes from the fighting Irish. And I say it doesn't work that way. Okay, you can't fight, little woman. Stop trying to beat me. yo, this is bullshit, right? I'm gonna let y'all know this right now. What happened to me this Saturday, just a day ago. sitting with my girl eating breakfast. She doesn't even watch boxing. She knows nothing about boxing. And we get into the diner and we're ordering breakfast. I'm sitting there. I'm like, yo, she's like, I don't think you're gonna like what they have here. She looks at me and I'm like, why? She was like, they don't have any banned substance on the menu. See if they have any Austrian. You know how you Puerto Ricans love Austrian. And I was like, you dirty. I said, what? And that's how the news travels about Subiet testing positive and how it affects. Look at my wife. She knows nothing about boxing. Nothing. But she knew about Sabia testing for Austrian and that he was a Puerto Rican. Yeah, let me take that baby. Right? Yo, she made me laugh. It was hilarious. It was like on point. It was like on point. It was a cool joke. And she has the right because she's obviously married to a Puerto Rican, so it was a joke. You know what I mean? So, because I took it back to the crib and was like, what I'm saying? What were you saying earlier? What were you saying earlier? You know what I mean? Yo, so it's like she obviously, the news got back to her about a Puerto Rican fighter testing positive for Austrian, like Ryan Garcia and everything. And it just goes to show you how news travels, and how, even though a smear campaign, I think that Subir is going to be found innocent through all this. But look how many people it's gotten to, the message. You know what I mean? And when words are powerful. Words are powerful. Sometimes you don't need to physically hurt somebody to hurt them. And you could reach this. And I was like, I looked at her, I was like, I'm not gonna like nothing on the menu because they don't deal with banned substance. I was like, yo, yeah, I was about to check her, you know what I'm saying? But my girl's slick. She might have slipped in and got me real quick. You know what I mean? If I wasn't careful, you know. But yo, it's crazy. You took a DNA test, you're 33%. You got 33% West African, 23%, Spanish, 23%, and North African, 11%. Yeah. Yeah. Yo, that's why I say that the brothers in New York and the ones from Africa are not the same. The brothers from New York gotta figure out where they came from. They came from somewhere. They took their land, their language, everything, stripped them down to nothing. And like they got the brothers from America. They share America with the white dudes. They got to. They don't got no other where to go. Because Africa doesn't want them, like Spain don't want us. Like Mexico don't want us. We've already went out, got our little piece of land. But I can't help but notice, since I've been a kid, that the New York black dude, the Chicago black dude, the Texas black dude is not like the African black dude. Just like the Puerto Rican is not like the Spaniard. No, like the Dominican. No, they're not. They don't look the same. They nothing. Like, and the American black dude came from somewhere. I don't think he came from Africa. And I'm just saying that I have no proof on that. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just speaking what I learned through my travels in life. I'm not a scientist. I was never really great book smart neither, but I also learned through I'm going through life and I could see and observe, just looking. And I've grown up in predominantly black neighborhoods my whole life. I My best friends, brothers and shit. That's no, I don't gotta say it because they we this is where I live. You know, um, but They don't look like them. And I've always asked that question, where did they come from? Where did the Black American come from? No one can answer that for me. I have no idea, but they came from somewhere. I just don't think it was Africa, man. Nah. Uh-uh. Just like us. Like, we came, a piece of us came from Spain, yes. Our Latin tongue comes from there. We got Spain blood in us, but we've evolved. So perhaps they came from a part of Africa and then got broken down through, like, I don't know, white interactions, and they pushed further down. Maybe they interacted with the Indian, the dot Indian ones, that they're real dark, but they got real slick hair. They're a real crazy dynamic of people, right? Because they dark as hell, but they look like John Travolta up top. They right? Yo, they's crazy. Like, they got the best of both worlds. They're dark, tall, and handsome, and they got the slick back. Like, yo, he's crazy, right? So, I mean, the only thing I can ever explain through life is the evolution. I learned that sometimes things are not what it seems, right? Meaning that, say that somebody comes along and says that this temple right here was, you see it back in the ancient times. This temple right here was for worship. And what ended up happening was, it wasn't. Let me explain. It was for worship when it ended. But when it was originally created, the bottom base of it was probably a base for like cattle or something. 500 years passed. They came up on this little ruin thing that was always in the middle here. We, as the people, we started building on top of it. Now, whatever we built on top of what originally was there, now we renamed the place and what it was used for. So not every time they saw things in history that's exactly that was used for. Because evolution, the length of time, for 1,000 years, a different king ruled, a different person was in control. You can easily alter that building, that rock formation. As a matter of fact, the people that built that rock formation 500 years ago, let's take that down, because we actually need some of that rock to build on our new houses over here. So let's take the wood that was around the rock, remove that wood, build my hut over here. Now I just altered that thing. Now later, people are going to come by and see it with no wood. They're going to say, you know what this was for? What? They prayed here. They used this for sacrifices because it's got a flat and that's what they did. Meanwhile, all that was a fucking circle where the cows took a shit. Real simple, basic shit. But sometimes people have a tendency of taking things or finding things and changing them. And I learned that in history. That throughout the course of history, it doesn't always stay the same way. That's how you lose a lot of information, and that's how you gain a lot of information. Some kings didn't want the Red Sea Scrolls to be read. So they had the people that had them hunted down and killed. And if you ever found them, destroy them. Right? Some people were like, no, we need this. So everything didn't always stay like that. That's just, what I'm saying. It's like sometimes you got to be careful on how you perceive things and how shit had to have evolved and shit. Remember there was that saying that doctors came up, it was like in the med books, that after death, your nails would grow and that your hair would grow even after death. Then they realized years later that's not what happened. That was furthest from the truth. What happened was when you were decomposing, your skin retracted. It would peel back, giving the indication of growth in your nails. Your skull, your skin would shrink, protruding hair out of your skull, giving the impression that it was longer. Sometimes you got to rethink, relive things to, sometimes you can be wrong, and those are certain situations that I've seen that. So sometimes I know not to take things as face value. That's why I never do in boxing, because I've always learned things might not be what they seem. Just take a second and break shit down. And even when you break it down a third time and more possibilities. But don't drive yourself crazy, because then all of a sudden you become a conspiracy theory. Just stay don't go all the way down the rabbit hole. Trust me, you don't want to go down there. Anyway, but yeah, that, shit like that. Cultures, races, where people came from. It's a lot of shit that happened on this planet that we were told one way and found out shit was another way, didn't we? Right? Okay. But, that's above my pay grade. I don't want to pretend to know that I know anything about this shit. I just talk from my experience. That's it. That's all I can vouch for. It's my experiences, what I see with my own two eyes, what I think on it, but I don't deem anything that when I'm talking about something I don't know, I don't deem it facts. No, if I'm not qualified to talk about that, if I don't have no scientific proof on it, I'd rather not talk about it. I'd rather not talk about it because I just bank on the men and women that are. Allow them to do it. You know what I mean? That's their profession, their thing. Go ahead. But nah, I don't, but yeah, I can only talk on my experience. That's it. Salute, brothers. Listen, we've been up here chapping it up. I hope guys had an amazing time. I just wanted to hop on the morning after, talk about this Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney fight. Whenever you say Devin Haney, you think of Ryan, right? And it was a good night of boxing. It was a good card. Um, I wanted the action to be a little bit more, but hey, it is what it is, man. We have and the new champions. So, I can't say that we won 2 belts as Americans, because an American lost the belt to an American. So that's this, it just stays status quo, but Abdullah Mason got the belt back that Keyshawn Davis lost. So now we have that one back in our column as American champions. So Terrence Crawford has 4 belts for the Americans. I believe he's our heaviest champion right now at 168 is Terrence Crawford. Then we have Xander Zayas down there at 154. Sebastian Fundora is an American fighter too as well. He has a belt for the Americans. Shakur Stevenson has a belt. Tank Davis has a belt. Devin Haney has a belt. Abdullah Mason has a belt. Those are all our belts right now for America. Those are all our American champions currently right now. I think there's some more. Well, you got to add Sabiel. Whenever Puerto Rico got belts, then they're Americans. Whenever they're losing, they're Puerto Rican. You know how that goes, right? So, let's see. Oscar Collazo, and you start counting the Puerto Rican fighters with the American one. Well, you can only count the island not born Puerto Rican fighters for the American to make it fair. If you're island born, then you're a Puerto Rican fighter. If you're Puerto Rican, but you were born in the United States, then you're represented by the America. Like that. You know how America is. America's no joke, bro. When you come to think about it, they're no joke. Think about it. Whatever race, nationality, or creed you are, whatever you invent or create in America, it's Americans. It belongs to them. What language do you speak? American. Uh, they call you, they call me an American Hispanic. First word, American. That's what it is. If you, any race, whatever, if you invent anything, you create anything, you invented it here. They'll say you made it in Texas, in America. The article will start, you made the first water engine or whatever successfully, the one that didn't get killed. Well, you made it in America. You created another force of electricity. If you made it in America, I don't care what you are. You could be a Chinese, Indian. It won't matter. It's not going to matter. Anything that a black person invented, as long as it was in America, the article going to say Black American, Black American. America's going to always take the credit because this is their land. So you know how it is. If we start winning belts, it's not our belt, it's an American belt because we are from here. See what I'm saying? So rightfully so. That's the way it goes. I can't. I didn't make nations and continents, and I was out governing places, and I have the right to change what I feel because of my opinion. That's when Americans and people lose their mind. You start to develop what I call like this God complex, where you actually believe because you can say it so eloquently or explain it into a microphone that that's the way shit should be. That's furthest from the truth. That's just your opinion. What really happens are real people that go out there and kill each other, shoot each other, kill each other for land, the ability to govern that place. They set the rules. They're the people that they can say whether or not their shit makes sense. No, they actually went out there and took over the land and named it. This is Texas. That motherfucker gets to dictate what he says, not the person like me behind a microphone that had an eureka moment. Aha! This is how, and no matter if he's 1,000,000,000% right, that's the way shit should be. This guy knows what he's talking about. Unfortunately, he's smart. He knows what he's talking about, but that's not who makes the rules. The guy that went, Texas, he makes the rules. You got to convince him or kill him. I don't know. The hell you want me to say? Like, how'd they do it back then? 6 shooters? Get off my land. I don't know how they did it, but somehow we're here. And I don't think you could do that anymore. Can't just shoot somebody now, right? It's a lot of legal and paperwork. You're going to jail, right? But back then, you pulled up in a wagon and a buggy. Hey, I don't know. But I do know one thing. The government says very little words and controls everything. And everybody with the great ideas and great opinions, they just let you talk. And then they come and take your idea and your opinion and either twist it, use it, but you never really get the credit for it, right? Okay. Because this is America. We actually pay into living here. America's not free. Everybody, you pay until the day you die. You get a social security number and you have to follow and obey by their rules and they govern you. That's America. Anything you discover, anything, let's say you go outside tomorrow and you find fucking Pandora's box. Do you really think you can keep it? Did you think because you bought the land that you're on and you lived and you found Pandora's box outside, you think that the military won't come down and relieve you of that? You really believe that? That no, it's America, the hand of the free. Bullshit. A fucking UFO lands on your property, guess what? You no longer live there. And you can't keep the UFO. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a food for thought. When you think about your surroundings, no, none of us are free. Come on, man. Stop it. We don't govern anything. We live in America and it belongs to America. It's whatever they say. To tell you the truth, you fuck around too long, they'll just haul you off in handcuffs and put you in a prison, won't they? How many times you seen that? So nothing we have here is ours. It never will be. All right, fight fans, love yourselves. Love boxing. This conversation went to an odd place, right? But conversations, nevertheless. We could always talk about anything, right? Right. So, fight fans, until the next time, I'm Round One Sports Talk. Edwin, always a pleasure to being your host. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe to the channel, and become a Round One Sports Talk member. Share the videos.